Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Empower Your Teen. Today, I have with me Kate Cinnamo, who has served as the Executive Director of Explore the Trades since 2017. Working with residential surface companies and key industry vendors, Kate has led Explore the Trades to a singular focus: to bring plumbing, HVAC, and electrical trade career possibilities directly to students and educators. Explore the Trades has distributed skilled trade-focused content to over 1,900 schools in the US and Canada, impacting more than 345,000 students from elementary through high school. Kate works with contractors and schools in communities around the country to help establish talent pipelines and created an industry-to-school partnership which has equipped 14 schools in the U.S. with plumbing and HVAC equipment since 2022. That's amazing. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Emma.
So I'm really excited to talk with you about trades and some of the various education paths to get to these occupations. But first, if you wouldn't mind, will you tell us a little bit about how you got into the work that you do?
Sure, absolutely. So I will confess that my journey into the trades is one that a lot of people have emulated and a lot of people have experienced themselves, in that when I started in this position with this organization, I did not have a background in the trades. I did not have family in the trades. I don't have any friends who work in the trades, just without that, just don't have that knowledge of what the industry is like. And what drew me to this position in this organization is really, the focus on getting the skilled trades back in front of these upcoming generations who are really vital to the work that these industries do. So I like to say that I'm learning and experiencing these trades just like everybody else who is wanting to know more, who has questions. And I feel like I've learned a lot right alongside them. So it's been a learning journey for me, but then also developing this passion and this respect for the work that these men and women do.
Yeah, so you're able to bring that perspective of someone who hasn't been fully in it, so you
Right.
know what knowledge people are missing, right? So you can bring that. That's really cool. Can you tell me how your perspective of these professions has changed from before you started working with them to after?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, I certainly had misconceptions about these trades, just I think like everybody else does, of, you know, there's a stereotype of what they do. For example, the common example is, oh, well, the plumber comes to clean your toilet. Well, no, that's not true. I think I've been in the seat to understand how plumbers and HVAC technicians and electricians, really understanding their job, in that because of these people, we have the opportunity to live in the comfort that we do. These men and women are providing us with a first world country, clean water, heating and air conditioning and power, really all these things that generate our daily lives. And I think knowing and meeting with these contractors and really, getting to know these technicians, is that, the licensure process that they go through and the education and the training, they're highly skilled individuals. And when you understand how they touch everything in your home, in your apartment, in your office, in your school, it's really, really peels back those layers to bring into focus everything that they do for us.
Yeah, I remember I saw something online one time about a mom was like, my kids say I never buy anything for them. So I started putting like gift bows on the light switch because you have and on the faucet because you have water, right?
Right.
And so we forget because it's just such a part of our everyday life, but it's
Right.
so huge when it's not there. And it's
Right.
not just us that are paying for that and providing it to our families, but these individuals out there that are making sure that, like you said, we live in comfort. So
Right. Absolutely.
yeah, it's so incredibly important jobs. Now, I know that in my personal experience, part of the stigma too is that, aside from maybe getting your hands dirty, there's concern that it's not going to be as financially stable or as financially well off as a, a profession that requires a degree. How do you see them compare and contrast with that?
Yeah, I think there's different factors that go into that equation in that, and I know that we'll probably talk about a little bit more, but the path to becoming a licensed trade person is different than going down that 4-year college path where most likely you'll probably end up with student debt at the end of that path. So, if we're looking at, here in the US, if we're looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the keeper of all the information, it's very common for these 3 trades, these men and women, to earn, once they're licensed, I mean, you're looking at $65,000 right out of the gate, which, if I was coming out of school, if I was 20, 21 years old, what a great jumping off point for your financial stability. And when you look at it, these jobs will never disappear. We will always need clean water. We will always need power. We will always need heating and air. And so, along with being a technician, there's certainly different career milestones within the trades that you can enjoy, you can, challenge yourself with in terms of leadership opportunities, service manager. I mean, there's a lot of examples where you could have those increases as well.
Yeah. I have definitely seen professions that require a degree that do not start at that amount. And in addition, that's after going to school for 4+ years, right?
Right.
Which it's my understanding that a lot of the educational paths for trades can often be, not always, but can often be a shorter time. So you get to earning sooner, as well as in some cases earning more out the gate. So, I mean, do the numbers on that down the road, right?
Right. Well, I think we always talk about it in the industry, if you're taking person A, person B, and you start to do the napkin math of going to college versus starting in a trade, starting in a trade, you're already in the positive, because of getting paid to learn while you're learning the trade. So again, there's a number of different factors that fall into it.
Exactly. Now, I know that there's a couple of ways to pursue trades. One of them is trade schools, which I think people are a little bit more familiar with, or at least they've heard about it. And those can be less expensive than university. But there are also apprenticeships that one can do. And this is something, when I was doing my college and career workshops at high schools, that most teenagers that I talked to had no idea that apprenticeships were even a thing at all.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what it's like to do an apprenticeship?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, Emma, I would say that students maybe have not heard the word apprenticeship. And I would say that there's many people out there who've never heard that word before. And, I think what's valuable about them is if you look back in history, apprenticeships have been around since the Middle Ages, because that was the way the craft guilds,
right?
Yeah, that's what you did. And so it's been really valuable in the industry to sort of hand down the trade and the craft and the knowledge to the next generation. So, trade school is one option. With apprenticeships, there are different a few different ways of how you might be able to find one. Now, an apprenticeship, typically, if you're looking at plumbing and electrical, they last about 4 years, which means in that 4 years, you would acquire roughly 8,000 hours of classroom and hands-on training. So those 8,000 hours are very much equivalent to a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree at university. So, we're on equal footing there. With an apprenticeship, that is something that a person can apply to get into, just like you would trade school. And with an apprenticeship, you are not, as the student, or the apprentice, you are not responsible for paying for that education. So with day one of your apprenticeship, you are automatically earning a wage. And the way that those wages are provided is, again, with a 4-year apprenticeship. Once you successfully complete a year, you would experience a step in that wage. So by the time you're done, that's a great way to be within market value of becoming a licensed tradesperson. So that's one caveat with plumbing and electrical. With HVAC, it's a little bit different. Here in the States, each state would have different requirements around that. So that would be something if someone was interested in HVAC, that's what I would say. It's a little bit different than plumbing and electrical. Another great thing about an apprenticeship is you can find one through an industry organization, ones that specialize in heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Oftentimes, it's also worth asking a local contractor in your community, whether they are, doing residential, commercial, whatever work they're doing. It's worth a call to them to ask if they have a registered apprenticeship program within their company, because not only are you learning in a smaller environment within a small business, but it's a great way to start with that company. You're acclimating to the culture, and it's a great talent pipeline for these businesses as well. Another option is to work with a local union in your community. You can always inquire with the union about applying to their apprenticeship program. So it's a great way with a number of avenues, depending on what your interest might be in.
Yeah. And another resource that I like to share with the young people I work with is the apprenticeship.gov. It's just
absolutely.
It's a great database of all kinds of apprenticeships all over the place. But I like that you don't even have to go somewhere else. You can reach out to people in your local area to see what they have to offer.
Yeah.
So let me just back up really quickly, though.
Sure.
You said that with an apprenticeship, you don't pay for your education, you get paid to learn.
That's right. I know. I wish I would have known about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I have told families that, like, just jaws on the floor, because we've become so accustomed to the idea of we have to pay for our education.
Right.
And whether we break even, or whether we're able to cover that, or whether we have to get loans, or whether we use student funds, it's paying for it in some way.
Yeah.
But in this way, like, not only are you not going to have educational debt, but you're going to start earning from day one and increase your earnings every single year. Like,
I know it's mind-blowing, I think, because you think, well, I'm learning something just like I would in a traditional school environment. But, you think about it from the company perspective, is with a lot of small businesses, with a lot of unions, they rely on these younger generations to come in and sort of take on that legacy of these trades that build our infrastructure. So you realize the value that these trades have, and with apprentices. And, I've had conversations with students before, with families, to say, well, what if I'm done with my apprenticeship and I'm working, and maybe I realize it's not a fit for me, which is fine. And so you think, well, now I have the skill that I will always have with me. And if I ever am interested in coming back into the trades, I can do that because I know how to do this, and it's portable. I can take this trade with me wherever I would like to move, in the country. So it's always this lifelong skill that is always with you.
And also think about well, first of all, let me just say this. People change their mind and change their careers all the time. Yep. It is not the end of the world, right?
Right.
You do what's right for you right now. That may change. That's life, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But compare changing your mind in the middle of a college degree and changing your mind, right? What are the results of those two different options? Like you said, you're going to have knowledge and skill and things that you've learned in life experience from both of those situations. Right. But with one, you're also walking away with potentially educational debt, financial investment that you've made that you're not going to see a return on. And the other one, you're going to have money in your pocket, especially if you're still young enough to be staying at home with your parents or something like that.
Right.
Which could potentially be funds if you're setting it aside for whatever your next possible journey is.
Right. Right. I prefer the latter math. I like that. I like how that math works.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
I will say, I know that your experience is mainly with plumbing and HVAC and what was the other one?
Electrical.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are other trades, there are other apprenticeships out there, and
Yep.
just so families know, every apprenticeship is different. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the details, how long they are different.
Mhm.
I think some may have small costs, but generally speaking, you're getting
Mhm.
paid while you learn, which is amazing.
Right.
So
Yep. 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 It's obviously from the company perspective, that's a great investment to put into training your future workforce. And, that's everything that they want, just looking to bring in their talent and acclimate them to the company culture. And that's a great fit. And I've had conversations with contractors who own their own small business, and they would say, of employees that they've had throughout their tenure of, so and so started with me as an apprentice. They did their apprentice. They may have worked in the warehouse before doing that, just to say, hey, I needed a part-time job in high school, whatever that might be. And it's a great way to look around the business, to understand what all of these men and women are doing. And they become an apprentice, and they've acclimated into the atmosphere so well that, now they're a tenured employee. So it's a really great, I don't want to say, job audition, but what a great way for people to see you as an employee and to build your skills. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I love it. And this is something, like you said, it's not going anywhere, right? So
No.
we have a lot of industries where jobs are changing constantly and all of these things, but this is something we're just always going to need it.
Right.
And then also, because of this stigma that has stuck around for generations, and because of this focus on college, particularly high schools wanting all of their students to go to college, and information about trades not being as readily available, so many students are going the college route that there are lots of job opportunities within trades because they're not being filled in the same way.
Right. Right. I mean, we're seeing reports every day about all of these job openings that are out there. And I think some of the unknown is, well, I really don't know what these three trades do, which with our organization on our website, we have a lot of great foundational information about what they do. And I think another thing to consider is, the trades are just like any other industry where you have people who are mechanically inclined, and most likely those are your technicians servicing customers and going into homes, things like that. But there's so many other facets within the industry who can use talented individuals with customer experience. Those are the people on your call center and dispatch, and you have people who are in marketing. So you can still be in the trades by doing all of these other career paths. And then ultimately, what a great way to start your own business. You have the entrepreneurship. It feels like the industry has something for everybody, which I think is exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that is another path. You can train for these skills and these trades, but if you are entrepreneurial minded, there's an opportunity for that as well. Maybe even creating some of the new tools or products that will innovate the industry, starting your own business, having your own apprenticeship. So there's plenty of growth opportunity and outside of the box thinking.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, and to that point, Emma, talking about technology and products and things like that, when you think about the companies who are servicing, who are doing the trades, who are doing the hands-on work, think about where they're getting the products. There are a number of manufacturers and distributors who are ensuring that, who's making the water heaters? Well, company XYZ. So, when you expand the circle a little bit, there's so much opportunity within those larger companies, because without tradespeople to, be involved with manufacturing and distributing and selling the product, we don't get to enjoy everything that we do. So it's such a big ecosystem where it touches a lot of things that we have every day, you know.
It absolutely does. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing all this information with our families and for being part of an organization that's bringing this information to schools and to teens. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Before we go, can you tell us about the free gift that you have for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was really exciting. Our team was really excited to put this together. But one thing we want to do is to help help connect the dots between school and the trades. So what we wanted to do is we created a series of handouts that we called From School to the Skilled Trades. And it's a great way for high schoolers and parents and counselors and teachers to see the subjects I'm learning about in high school, how they directly apply to the skilled trades. And I think this gives us a great filter to look at these three trades to say, well, it's more than just your toolbox. There's so much more, you know, giving examples to say, I'm learning in algebra about angles and, you know, and there's, you know, geometry and we're looking at shapes. Well, how can we use those math skills in plumbing when we're talking about pipes? You know, if I'm learning about chemistry and chemical reactions, how does that directly apply to heating and cooling with refrigerants? You know, and when we're getting down to electrical, you know, we're looking at the physical nature of the job and talking with customers and technical writing. So we need English in those communication classes to help us establish a relationship with the customer and to ensure that the project scope is accurate. So we created the series of handouts that go through all of those subjects for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So so everyone can see how what they're learning today can be used in their next role.
Here is why I love this so much. So many times people pick a degree at a school based on the subject that they connect with. I did really good in math, so I'm going to major in math in college.
Right.
Math is not a job, right? It is used for so many different things. And some of those occupations do require a degree and some of them don't. They require some other education like this. So I'm so glad that you're connecting the dots for people in that way. And I also, just as a side note, there are young people out there that don't connect to a specific subject. And so then they feel completely lost because then what do I major in?
Right.
And so I just kind of like to squash the idea that the subject you connect with is what you major in. It's more than that. It goes beyond that. It can be a starting point.
Right.
But it is more than that. So I love that you have this to show them, you know, these are the things, these are the jobs, the actual jobs in this field that these different subjects or skills or knowledge apply to. That's amazing.
Yep. Well, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, we were really excited to help break it down. And I think for our team, you kind of recall back to high school and go, oh yeah, I remember that, you know? So it's nice to see how you can put it to practice every day.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
I'll make sure that the button for that is right below this video so it's easy for families to grab. Thank you, Kate, so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I also appreciate it.